I have today written the FCC to strongly protest its recent proposal to make all Montgomery TV stations broadcast on the short-range UHF band. The effect of this action is to deprive the citizens of Central and South Alabama of high-quality VHF television. This means that WSFA TV would be denied the use of Channel 12 and relegated to the UHF band, which includes channels 14 through 84. UHF television simply does not have the wide coverage to reach all those citizens now served by VHF TV from Montgomery. As I stated in my letter to the FCC, it is particularly disturbing to me that these viewers would be cut off from practically all the TV news of the state capital, our legislature, the many public service programs, and the important weather information that originates from the key weather facility here in Montgomery.
This resolution is going to be read very carefully. It deals with this problem of the Federal Communication Commission changing WSFA TV, that is Channel 12 here, from VHF to UHF. It's a serious problem to Montgomery, to Central Alabama, and South Alabama. If this change is made, many of the counties in Central and South Alabama will have no TV coverage at all. I urge you, all of you gentlemen, and urge you to urge your constituents to write to Federal Communication Commission and ask that they do not make this change that they are proposing. It is serious, and I call on you for your help.
HGR 91 by Mr. Goodwin, Chambers, Bailey, Pierce, Goldthwait, Jones of Monroe, Jones of Covington, McLennan of Bullock, Ghost, Long of Perry, Powell, Falk, Gruby, Brazel, Thomas, Lee, Barnett, Cornett, Cook, Stegall, McCorkadale, Dunn, Vickers, Talbot, Solomon, Turnham, Rast, Oakley, Nettles, Daniels, Grant, Boyd, Owen, Salter, Brooks, Brennan, Nichols, Adams, Gilmer, Hain, McClendon, and Reynolds of Chambers. Whereas the Federal Communication Commission proposes to require all television stations in the Montgomery, Alabama area to operate on the limited coverage UHF ultra-high frequency band and thus eliminate the area's only wide-range VHF very high-frequency station, WSFA TV, Channel 12, and whereas Channel 12 has a long record of faithful and conscientious service to the people of Central and South Alabama, offering viewers a great variety of programs in the public interest, such as news broadcasts, timely interviews, public information shows, and special events, to keep the residents of this area continually posted on important news, weather bulletins, and issues of the day, including events occurring at the state capitol. And whereas the Federal Communication Commission in 1952 acted in behalf of some 250,000 families of this area in allocating a maximum range of VHF channel to Montgomery, and Channel 12 has been on the air since 1954, making good use of this channel allocation, and as a trustee of this channel protecting the right of Central and South Alabama citizens to this VHF television service. And whereas some 200,000 homes in this area which presently receive Montgomery-originated television programs stand to lose this service if Channel 12 is abolished and a weak signal UHF station substituted, denying all television to many homes and curtailing service in more than 20 Alabama counties. And whereas the removal of Montgomery's only VHF station would deprive many thousands of Central and South Alabama residents of television service from their state capital, when every other state capital in the United States has very high service, and leave this area to be served by stations at Columbus, Georgia, Albany, Georgia, Panama City, Florida, Pensacola, Florida, Meridian, Mississippi, all stations which are hardly interested in the affairs of the state in the state of Alabama. And whereas other television stations of this area are also opposed to the recent proposal of the Federal Communication Commission, viewing this action as detrimental to the established Montgomery area market and contrary to public interest. And whereas the Governor of Alabama, Honorable John Patterson, our United States Senators, Honorable Lister Hill and Honorable John Sparkman, our Congressman, and many others have joined in protesting the unwarranted action of the Federal Communication Commission in proposing to eliminate Montgomery's only VHF outlet. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives, the Senate concurring, that the legislature formally go on record to deplore the proposed ruling of the Federal Communication Commission, to urge the Commission to reconsider its action, and to strongly recommend that Montgomery remain on outlet for very high-frequency television. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded by the Clerk of the House to the Chairman of the Federal Communication Commission, Honorable Newton Minow, and to each of the members of the Commission, and to the United States Senators and each of the Congressmen from the state of Alabama.
Whereas the Federal Communications Commission, Washington, D.C., has announced plans to change Montgomery, Alabama to an all-UHF television city by modifying WSFA TV from present status of VHF, very high frequency, to UHF, ultra high frequency, and whereas Montgomery, as Alabama's capital city, needs a wide coverage VHF television station in order to properly disseminate important news and information relating to the Alabama legislature, the governor's office, state departments and agencies of the United States government. And whereas a powerful VHF station is needed in Montgomery to channel vital weather information to a wide segment of Alabama's rural population living within a 100-mile radius of Montgomery. And whereas Montgomery, as Alabama's civil defense headquarters, needs all possible television coverage in the event of a national emergency, and whereas many towns and communities and rural areas with an approximate population of 500,000 would receive only fringe television coverage if the present VHF channel is removed from Montgomery, and whereas residents of the above areas would be deprived of all public service programs originated in their capital city, such as interviews, televised news conferences, women's programs, political campaign information, and election returns. And whereas Montgomery's sister cities in Alabama, Birmingham and Mobile, each have 2 VHF channels, with a third pending in Birmingham, and Columbus, Georgia, with 2 VHF channels, and Meridian, Mississippi, television coverage for its trade area if proposed FCC action is consummated. And whereas the advertising powers of Montgomery's retail and wholesale merchants would be greatly reduced through the lost coverage areas, with resulting loss of revenue. Other VHF markets in Birmingham, Mobile, Columbus, and Meridian would have an advantage over Montgomery in the Montgomery natural trade area, whereas WSFA TV, with its VHF frequency, has consistently given the people of Montgomery and surrounding areas the highest quality of television viewing in all areas of programming, always employing the top caliber of professional people and operating in the interest of the public during the 7 years since its beginning. And whereas it seems grossly unfair and unbusinesslike to remove WSFA TV's VHF channel, thus depriving the citizens of Montgomery and South and Central Alabama of the advantage of a successful professional television station. Be it therefore resolved that the mayor of Montgomery and members of the City Commission of Montgomery do hereby vigorously protest and strongly oppose the proposed action on the part of the Federal Communications Commission to remove the city's only VHF television channel, and by so doing reduce this capital of Alabama to an all-UHF city with limited television coverage.
I have today introduced in the House of Representatives a resolution stating that it is the sense of Congress that the Federal Communication Commission not take any action
or make any order or any ruling requiring TV stations now operating on VHF, that is TV channels from 2 to 13, to change to any other channel other than another VHF. This has been called to my attention by many people in my district who are disturbed, and justly so, about the contemplated order that the Commission has said that they were going to make, which would require these stations now operating on VHF to go to ultra-high frequency. This station, one we have in the capital city, has given much news, farm news, capital city news, and weather news to the people of my district, and I am very much interested that this continue.
Recently, I introduced a bill in the House of Representatives, H.R. 9267, to limit the power of the Federal Communications Commission to take VHF channels away from television, and to give the FCC power to see to it that television sets made in the future be able to receive all the TVA channels, VHF and UHF. Specifically, as it affects the people within the range of my voice and this station, my bill would, if enacted, allow continued operation of this VHF Channel 12 here in Montgomery, our capital city. The FCC, in a recent order, says it wants 8 major cities to de-intermix. This means that these cities, including Montgomery, now enjoying VHF reception, would be forced to use UHF, which has considerably less range and poorer quality reception than VHF. Forcing a shift from Channel 12 to UHF would mean that many of you listeners, especially in the farm areas, would lose your only television outlet. Another problem is that most TV sets have been made to receive either VHF or UHF, but not both. Therefore, if your Channel 12 station is made UHF, many of you would have to either purchase new sets or have your present sets adapted for receiving UHF. To solve this set problem in the future, my bill will also give the FCC power to require that future sets be made so as to receive both VHF and UHF. I'm greatly concerned about the order of the Commission, for if carried out, not only would this particular area be affected, but as time moves on, unless some action is taken, many more cities and surrounding farm areas will be faced with the loss of adequate TV coverage. I realize it will not be possible at this late date for hearings to be held on my bill. I will, however, push for early hearings when Congress reconvenes in January, and I am hopeful of favorable action at that time.